rookie now, Bill Ritter.
How long can you hold your breath underwater? 30 seconds? Maybe even a minute? Well, the man you're going to meet tonight can stay underwater without any artificial source of oxygen far longer and go far deeper than we ever thought was humanly possible. And in the process, he's found not just a lucrative career, but he's also found love.
It seems almost comical to call him a human fish, but how else to explain the amazing things Francisco Pipin Ferreras can do?
How long can you hold your breath?
Around 8 minutes or something like that.
8 minutes?
Yeah.
I say this with all due respect, but I can't help but be skeptical that any human being can hold their breath for 8 minutes.
You have to go into a different kind of reality.
Now, his dives don't actually last for 8 minutes, but he can stay underwater for a very long time. Just take a look. Pipin is about to dive down hundreds of feet with just one breath. It's called free diving. One part extreme sport, one part quest for inner peace. Pipin rides down on an 80-pound weight that plunges him more than 400 feet deep. That's the equivalent of a 40-story skyscraper. At about 200 feet down, the world turns kind of spooky. Light disappears, and Pipin keeps his eyes shut to stay relaxed and focused. Now, amazing things are happening to Pipin's body as it tries to adjust to the pressure.
Every single second, when you hold your breath and you're going through this magic transformation during the dive.
His heart rate slows to just 14 beats a minute. That's barely a pulse. Each of his lungs, normally the size of a football, shrinks to the size of a potato. In short, he's pushing his body to the limit. It's pretty much what happens naturally to marine mammals like dolphins. Pipin says humans can do it too. The ability is buried deep within us. He believes we evolved from the sea, and he says every one of us, after all, spent our first 9 months of life underwater, swaddled in amniotic fluid.
You're going back into an aquatic memory that every human being has.
Freedivers say they get a sense of euphoria. It's a little like floating in outer space, they say, so peaceful. They sort of just want to stay down under. But of course, they can't. So to make it back up before he runs out of that single swallow of air, Pipin inflates a balloon that will quickly carry him to the surface, sort of like an express elevator. It is, for him, a complete rush.
I assume you get asked this a lot. Why do it?
Why? Well, for the pleasure of it. It's just you with yourself. And the good thing about this is that it's only you, the only one who can feel it.
It just seems to me that this can be inherently dangerous.
It can be very dangerous, yeah.
Pipin says he had a close call in this accident in 1993. He says he was pushed off course on his way up, and he crashed into a dive boat. He was knocked unconscious, saved only by his safety divers. Pipin says he learned to swim before he could walk. He took up spearfishing in his native Cuba, and he quickly discovered that the deeper he dove, the bigger the fish he caught. One day, someone noticed that Pipin was actually diving deeper than anyone ever had before. So he was sent to Europe to compete. When he returned with a world record, Pipin became a hero for Cuba. That is, until he defected in 1993. This is not a sport for the physically unfit, and yes, Pipin works out hard every day. But Pipin says what really keeps him going are his mental exercises.
I would say 95% of the whole thing is mental. 5% is physical.
We can debate the percentages, but not the results. Pipin has set several world records, and he claims his deepest dive in training is 558 feet, which has made Pipin a much-studied physical specimen. He's been poked, prodded, and tested by scientists. But perhaps the most conclusive study of Pipin and his extraordinary lungs was 6 years ago by Audrey Mestre, a French university student conducting research for her thesis on marine physiology.
And I chose him as a subject of my thesis because he was the world champion freediver.
How'd you finally meet him? You went looking for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon, marine physiology lost out, and basic biology took over. And the man who can do so much with just one gulp of air suddenly found himself breathless.
I got impressed for this young girl who's asking me questions that not other people ask me.
But that's very different than falling in love with her. How long did it take for that to happen?
About 2 days.
And what did your parents say about this?
You don't want to know.
Soon after that, the world's best freediver dove headfirst into marriage. These days, Pipin and Audrey dive together competitively around the world. She is one of the best female divers. She's gone down 426 feet. And she's also taken up underwater photography. It's now part of their business in promoting and teaching freediving.
Once you learn how to free dive, then you fall in love with it.
And you don't have to be Pipin to do this, or Audrey to do this. You're
No.
saying anybody, any average Joe like me could do this.
Anybody can do this, yeah.
And so, a couple of miles off the coast of Miami, I get my first lesson.
What I want you to do is just fill out the stomach first, then the chest, okay? You just blow out as much as you can. Breathe in one more time, hold it, and then start the dive.
Now, I've snorkeled for years, but I quickly discover this is much harder than I expected. In fact, it's not holding my breath that's the problem.
The hardest thing so far is the pressure on my ear.
I try all the diver's tricks to equalize the pressure on my ears. I do not want to give up. Not on national television.
This is not what I would call pleasure sport.
And so down I go again. 5 times I try, and each time I wimp out. Or at least my ears do.
Now, if I got over the ear part, how far down can I go?
We teach people every day to go down to 200 feet.
200 feet.
It's about a 7 days course. In 7 days, you're going to be an instructor. You're going to be a master on this thing. The human being have a very strong aquatic potential.
So strong, in fact, that Pipin says his goal before he retires is to make it down and back 600 feet, the equivalent of a 60-story building, on just one breath of air.
Pipin's drive to popularize his sport has led to a host of newcomers looking to break free diving records. Is he worried that he may one day be surpassed? Well, let's just say he isn't holding his breath. Cynthia?
Oh, John. From the bottom of the ocean to the streets of New York. That's our view of the world from downtown tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cynthia McFadden.
And I'm John Quinones. We'll be back next week, and from all of us here downtown, good night.